This is the Ordinary Business Podcast for business owners who want honest conversations, a lean business, and an extraordinary life on their own terms. Okay, today's episode is a little bit different because I actually have two guests instead of just one. And usually these episodes are kind of like behind the scenes, a little peek into someone's like business. But today I have brought on two of my best friends. We call ourselves the Chicken Sisters because we love Chick-fil-A and
And I live very far away from one.
And Ginny lives very, very far. She lives in Germany, so she doesn't get Chick-fil-A very often. But recently, the State of Online Business survey results were posted. The survey, if you missed it, the 475 people that filled it out. And the results came out, and of course, people have been talking about it. We're just going to share a few of our thoughts. We have been friends for 10, 11 years now. We've all been in business for like even longer than that. So yeah, we just have some thoughts to share. But before we dive in, I'm going to have them introduce themselves so you know who we're talking to. So Jodi, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. We do have thoughts. We have thoughts about a lot of things, but today we're going to be focused. We're going to be focused for our friend Jess and her podcast.
That's right.
I'm Jodi Brandon. I am a book strategist and coach for business owners who want to use a book as a marketing asset. So I kind of translate the book publishing language into business for business owners and leaders.
And Ginny, what do you do?
I'm Ginny Krause. I'm the co-founder of Supported CEO. I'm a business coach and strategist that supports business owners in making aligned decisions rooted in self-trust. And I'm all about helping you grow a business that enables you to live your best life while doing your life's work.
Yes. Okay, I want to start. We have a few things that we're going to hit on today. We're not going to cover the entire survey because this would be like a 4-hour-long podcast.
But we could do that too. We could do a 4-hour.
We could.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
If you really wanted to listen to us.
Yeah.
For those, again, who didn't see the survey results, this was 475 people across the world, largely in the U.S. Most are one-to-one service providers. Most are in business 5 to 10 years and make around $100,000 to $200,000. So just for like context, when we're talking about all these different numbers and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But with that, most said they took home and like paid themselves less than $20,000, which to me, it was very surprising. I mean, not quite as surprising because this was the third year of the survey and that's been the data every year but I'm just like, why is this not changing? I'm curious for you two, when you saw that number, was it surprising to you? Does it match what you kind of see with your clients and just like talking to others in the industry? What did you think about the number?
I was surprised, even though, like you said, Jess, it's consistent with what we've seen in the other years you've done the survey. It's not what I see in here, but I wonder how much of that is just people not being totally honest about what they are taking home. And then my other immediate thought was like, where's all this money going? Are we if we're making this money, I mean, how much reinvesting are we doing versus paying ourselves versus it makes me wonder how many people have a set, whether they're an S corp or not, like with a set like paycheck with, a paycheck company, payroll company versus, I'm going to pay myself X amount every 2 weeks, every month, whatever, and then maybe not being serious about it.
Mm-hmm. Really good point. My thought was kind of wondering about information that we don't necessarily have from the survey.
Right.
And I think that is just like for the listeners to know that, the survey gives us a lot of great data. Thank you so much, Jess, for doing all the hard work that you do behind this survey. And also there's still data that, you can never get all the data. Like everybody's businesses are different. But specifically speaking from this demographic, 5 to 10 years in business, taking home less than 20,000, I am led to believe that people aren't relying on the business
Mhm.
to really fulfill a financial need for their family and lifestyle. And
Mhm.
that there's external factors, whether they have a partner or they have other incomes, like maybe they have a career and their business is like a side business that they've still been doing 5 to 10 years. And maybe that 20,000 that they're bringing home is like paying for the extras for them to like have these other things in life that otherwise like they wouldn't be able to afford, right?
Mhm.
And so that is kind of the other question that we don't really have that I think is important to factor in, that like everybody's financial situation at home looks very different. And I think that's where it's like the reinvesting part. A lot of people could be reinvesting
Yeah.
because like they don't need to pay themselves. They could be making this money, but they don't need to actually like bring that into their household income to survive on. I
Mhm.
think that that's a key piece here.
That's definitely a question I'm considering adding for next year, is kind of like are you the breadwinner?
Mhm.
Are you
Yeah.
contributing? I don't want it to sound like rude though, so I'm trying to figure out the language of like, are you contributing to bills, or is this like you work full time and you do your business?
Yeah,
Or is this like fun money? Like you're still contributing to the family, but is it
absolutely.
Sure.
is it more just the fun
Yeah,
vacations, extra, like whatever? Because I think that would be helpful context
yeah.
as
It's
well.
Yeah.
it's different if you're like, to not diminish any of it. Like it
Right.
doesn't matter if your business is paying your mortgage or your business is paying for your child's school tuition.
Yeah.
Like that, it's all relevant and valid.
Yeah.
But I think in the context of like what business owners are comparing themselves to when looking at data points, I think that is an important thing to keep in mind. There is a difference between my mortgage relies on my business to be paid, like to have
Mhm.
a roof over my family's head, to have food on my family's table. Like those essentials are very different than I'm running a business to have like nice to haves
Mhm.
in our life.
And I've seen some other people mentioning kind of like, well, how kind of like what Jody was talking about, and well, how many expenses do people have? Like, are they saving? Are they contributing to like IRA? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are
Yeah.
they just not like, is all the money going to expenses, and how much are we spending on expenses? And I saw people kind of talking about like, are we paying for so many things that are just nice to have?
How many of those, it's only $100 a year, do
Uh-huh.
people have?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that that's the same thing with life, right? Like that, what's that new thing? Rocket Money, that'll like show you all, like, oh, I think I only have 3 subscriptions a month. No, you actually have like 14 things you're paying for a month. It's probably, you know what I mean? It's the
Yes.
same kind of
Yes.
thing in business.
Yes, it is. I'm curious, since we've been in business for so long, for someone who's maybe in that like 3 to 5 year range of business and is kind of stuck in that low take home pay, what would you tell them to like look at first?
I would definitely tell them to look at like if they're service based, like the one service that they are providing, and then what is the actual profit that they're making on that? What is actually required of them? Is it priced according to what they need to be paying themselves in order to stay in business? Because I think that's like, we could have a whole other conversation about pricing, but for the sake of like keeping it confined here, I think a lot of people don't price themselves according to the fact of like what they realistically need to earn to have a healthy paycheck for themselves and a healthy profit in the business. So I would look at that single service and really dissect, like, what's the deliverability? What is the time spent on this? Like, what is the investment? Like, if you need to hire outside contractors to be able to deliver it. And then, you know, am I actually pricing it in order to be profitable with the amount of clients that you actually have? Or is it realistic that, like, you have to work over capacity in order for you to ever pay yourself more? So I think that is like the pricing versus capacity to actually hit that number that you need is probably the first thing that I would look at.
I think it's always that some kind of foundational piece, right? And I think pricing is a good one, because I think you can get so lost in the numbers and make it so granular that then that scares people. But I think if you avoid it altogether and not do the work that Ginny's talking about, then you're going to end up spinning your wheels. Like, it's not that hard to figure out, okay, this is my signature primary service. I price it at this. This is how much I want to take home. This is how much we need for me to take home. And then how many people, if it's a done for you, done with you, how many of those people do I need per month, per quarter, per whatever? And then go deeper than that. Once you figure, okay, I need 4 to make what I want to make, and I'm getting on average 2. Okay, well then what needs to change to get me to 4? Or I'm getting 6. Then that gets into some of the things Ginny was talking about. But I think pricing is a good place to start.
Yeah, or even like realizing, like, oh, I need 6.
Yeah.
But then when you map out, like, oh, but I don't actually have the capacity. Like, I can't do 6 at a time.
Yes.
So that is a capacity pricing gap.
Yeah.
That then needs to be course corrected there. Because I think a lot of people they're thinking about it as like unit to customer to hit that number, but they're not really factoring in the capacity to actually deliver that service at a high enough quality to make it sustainably delivered with quality.
Yeah. In my opinion, this is the more important conversation when we think about pricing, more than the, like, you need to charge what you're worth.
Correct.
Because that's so arbitrary. And like, to be sustainable and profitable, we have to, like, think about this, especially for us one-to-one service providers.
Yeah.
So, okay. So with talking about expenses, team, contractors, this was another thing that was in the survey, and very, very high percentage, I think it was 88% of people don't have any team, no contractors, no employees. And that was up from last year. So, do you feel like that is because of AI that we're hiring less? Do you think it's people are just like, I don't want to have an agency, or like, I just want to, like, scale down and simplify things?
I think it's a mix. I do think the role of AI is something we can't discount,
Right.
especially for people who maybe aren't taking home as much money and would like to be taking home more, which, again, we don't know the circumstances of those numbers, but it is a way to save on contractors, obviously, using AI. And I do think the last few years, though, in addition to that, we've seen a shift of people, internalizing more, like intentionally going smaller. Whether that's because they don't want to be an agency or run an agency, or circumstances have changed, in their personal life, like, young children, and I have less capacity, like Ginny was talking about. So I think it's a mix. I'm shocked that number is so high, though. I wonder if, and again, one of those, if only we had like 18 follow-up questions we could ask every person, but then you're not going to get 475
follow-up questions for every question.
Yes.
But then you're not going to have 475 people doing the survey. So, I mean, I get the push-pull there. I totally do.
Yeah.
But do these people not use contractors at all? Like, or do they not have somebody, that they would consider, quote unquote, on their team, versus like a one-off? Like, I'm hiring someone to do this project. Are they still choosing no contractors on that survey? Like, I'd be curious about that.
I'm like, I have somebody who's a contractor, like, long term, but I'm like, I didn't count anybody that I just hired, like, for a one-off.
Yeah.
So that might just be another answer option for
Mhm.
next year is like, I don't have any long-term contractors, but I do hire a few people throughout the year.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. But I think, like, this conversation that the 3 of us are having now, like, about the data is helping listeners also discern the data points for themselves, because
Yeah.
you could read through it and be like, "Oh my gosh, 88% of people, like, have never hired help." But this conversation that we're having, like, is showing, like, we're opening up the conversation that all the data is nuanced. Like,
mhm,
Yeah.
everyone has to be a critical thinker for themselves and interpret the data for themselves individually and for their business individually. And I think that that's really important, to look at this data and think about, like, what does it make you think about for your business? What reflections is it bringing up for you? Like, how can I, like, interpret this as it relates to me, or doesn't relate
mhm,
to me? And I think that's really important, that the data is a starting point.
mhm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think one of my favorite things with the survey is people always ask why I do it. And I'm like, the transparency, even though it's anonymous, but it's
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
people are sharing because we always see like, oh, I had this $10,000 launch or this like whatever, but we never know like, okay, well, how much of the launch was profitable and like how many team members did you have
Yeah.
and those kinds of things. The Ordinary Business Summit is coming back, and it's happening April 1st and 2nd. To see who all is speaking and to join the wait list for discounted tickets, go to theordinarybusiness.com.
I thought that this survey is such a great testament that there's no one way to do something in business,
Yeah.
and that being a business owner is exploration and testing.
Mm,
Because there's a lot of mindset blocks known for business owners, that they are held back with things like imposter syndrome or fear of making the wrong decision, whether it be an offer, a tool, a platform, because you are siloed as an
mhm,
entrepreneur. And unless you're somebody like me who has a business partner to share the CEO stuff with, or great friends, of course. If you don't have your community, find your people,
Yeah.
because that's vital to knowing, like, you're not alone in your decisions. But this data shows that, like, there's unlimited amount of options. There's unlimited amount of ways to, have offers or have services or have products, and that there's no one way, and that entrepreneurship is literally like exploration.
mhm.
Um, and so I think, like, I hope people take away that this is refreshing, that they aren't alone in uncovering things that matter to them in this data.
And I think it also reminds me of like all the threads that I see that we also used to see in like Facebook groups back in the day when those were a thing. What website platform should I use for this? Or what email provider are y'all using? And you'll get 47 comments
Yeah.
and people will be like, oh, WordPress. WordPress is best. No, WordPress is the worst. Like, and you're just like, well, this is not helpful.
Yeah.
Like I see these threads all the time, people
Yeah.
just asking for recommendations.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you would be better off talking to like close friends or people in your specific industry
Yeah.
rather than just asking the internet, because there's a million options out there.
Mhm.
Um, which leads to the next thing that I wanted to talk about, because it's always interesting to see all the different platforms that people use. And Jodi had mentioned when we were talking before that like all these different website platforms, especially like so many, some that like we've not heard of, but we were talking in Voxer about just all the different options. And it's like, where's the line between I found this, it works for me, and I'm making it harder for myself to
Mhm.
like get help with this thing or to scale it once I get more clients or something, which that would mostly apply to like a CRM. Websites for the most part can kind of scale. But what do y'all think about all the different platforms being used, and just especially the ones that are lesser known and only had like a few users on each one?
Mhm. I think in entrepreneurship in general, the good news is there's no industry standards. The bad news is there's no industry standards. So,
Yeah.
Nicely said.
I think that it's with tech and tools, there's never going to be a perfect fit. And I think there's a lot of people that get stuck in mindset blocks that there is the perfect tool for them. And so they spend more time looking for that needle in a haystack to it fits the budget, it fits the specificity of like exactly what they want it to do, instead of just trusting themselves enough to pick one and figure it out along the way, or asking someone who has been in business, like, Jess, it's like the platform that she recommends for, most websites. It's like, go to someone who has skin in the game about a specific thing and just like take their recommendation and know it's not going to be 100% great. There's no tech tool platform that's going to be 100%, but like if it's in the 70-80% range, like you're doing great.
Yeah, I think keep your eye on the prize too, right? I mean, like having the best CRM is not helping me run a book coaching business. Like on the back end, sure. But like at the end of the day, does my client care if I'm on using Dubsado or Honeybook or Moxie or whatever else? No. And it's I think what you were saying, Ginny, it's like the Goldilocks thing. Is it like I'm never going to find like, oh, this is perfect, except I wish that it just did this one other thing. Does that mean it's worth the time and effort and money to completely switch over and then learn a new system? And then all of the time you're spending on that, you're not spending doing whatever your business is. So I feel like you've got to kind of weigh the pros and cons there on the back end more than sometimes. I think you always see like, I think if I could just like get my ClickUp set up, I'm going to be good to go. Or if I could just like, I think maybe not ClickUp, maybe Notion's what I should be using. Like if I could just get that Notion set up, now you've wasted another 2 weeks, like not doing any marketing, not bringing any new clients in, but you've got a pretty Notion dashboard. Okay.
Okay. And now who gets to see it?
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think this is where going back to like hiring help and that kind of thing, like not to say you can't just look and research and figure it out on your own, but if you are trying to figure out some complex, I don't know, task management something, and you're like, I need these workflows, like paying for like a consult call, a strategy call, something where like a person who is like in the industry knows like I work with these 7 different platforms and I can help you kind of at least narrow it down or know like, well, this platform can do X, Y, and Z. I feel like sometimes that can be worth it. But again, even if they recommend it, it's not going to be like 100% perfect.
So know your strengths. Like, I mean, the two of you know this, but listeners might not. Like, if I have a tech question, like I ask Jess the question with the caveat, like as a non-tech person, is this something I should be doing? Is this something I should be looking at? Is this like whatever? Because there's a different answer for Jess than for me, than for you.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like like something that could take you 5 minutes would take me 4 days. Okay, well that's not worth it.
Right.
For me, that's not worth it.
Yeah, for what you're going to get out of it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I think we need to, keep that in mind too.
The Ordinary Business Summit is coming back, and it's happening April 1st and 2nd. To see who all is speaking and to join the wait list for discounted tickets, go to theordinarybusiness.com.
And like you were saying, but to your point before, Jess, like know who you're asking of this information, like a blanket, like out to the whole world on the internet, you're going to get 900 different answers. But if I'm asking the two of you who know me, my strengths, what is important for my time, that's the information that I want, is what you two think.
I think sometimes this is it's related, but it's a little bit of a tangent. I feel like sometimes affiliate links have screwed up perceptions and like recommendations because I think, like, for instance, as someone who's been in the website industry for 15 years, Bluehost gets so many recommendations simply because they give out huge affiliate payouts. Huge.
Correct.
And I have had countless people over the years who were like, oh, I was going to go with Bluehost because like I see it's always recommended. And I'm like, yeah, because they have an amazing affiliate payout and they spend a crap ton of money on ads. So you always see them on YouTube and whatever. So when you're researching, yeah, you see them everywhere because they pour so much money into affiliates and ads and whatever. And they are not good. They are like
Yeah.
objectively not good. And so it's hard. I feel like sometimes when you do ask people or you're like
Yeah.
researching, you might see somebody writing a blog post about like the best host and they're like, oh, this one is best. And then there just happens to be an affiliate link there. So I think that's where going to close friends, people
Mhm.
in your niche,
Yeah.
going to experts, and I think that can kind of help with avoiding affiliate links.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I think like it's important again to use your own critical thinking. No matter what you're seeing, who's recommending what. And I think it can come down to just acknowledging that there's two camps of people who are business owners. And I think in camp A, it is someone who needed to start a business for a lifestyle reason, whether like they had family at home or they lost a job and like they had like a skill set that they decided to monetize or they accidentally started a business, but they came into it kind of from like a need. And then the camp B person is someone who has an entrepreneurial mindset and set out to say, I want to be a business owner. And I think that should be kept in mind when we're digesting all of this data. Because if you are in camp A, like that's great. There's not like, welcome to the club. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But at some point, I think you do have to decide to be a part of camp B. If you're in business 5 years and you kind of accidentally started a business, but like you really didn't have like, you weren't business savvy, so to speak, like you don't have like a business background or business degree or something, those make really great business owners too. But making the decision that you need to intentionally join camp B and start thinking a bit more strategically. Start using your critical think, like going from I'm skirting by on what's the lowest cost thing I can select, what's the thing that's just going to do the job right now versus can't be making critical long-term intentional decisions that are based on a vision and a strategy for your business, your goals, and where you're going. I think that's how you're going to pay yourself more than $20,000 a year.
I agree with that. And I think that goes back to what we were saying before about like the pricing and the other foundational work, like really figuring out like who do I want to serve? What do I want to provide for them? And like getting clear on all of that kind of stuff it's not always the fun work for a lot of people, but for long-term success,
Mhm.
it's critical. And that's not to
Mhm.
say it won't evolve, right? All of our businesses have evolved. That's something that comes up a lot with my clients. Well, I said it was going to be like the book was going to be this. Well, that it's a working whatever. Like that's how I feel about
Yes.
my business plan. It's a
Mm-hmm.
working document
Yes.
that I'm not beholden to in any way. Things change, society changes. But
Needs change. Yeah.
knowing
Mhm.
those basic things and revisiting them on a regular basis are, I think, what has kept me, all three of us, and other people that we know in business long term.
And I think what you said, Jenny, about the like, are you just skirting by on like the cheapest option or like this works, like this functions? And that makes me think of back early business when I was like, okay, I'm doing this platform for contracts, and then I go over here to do invoices, and then I use this platform for questionnaires. I had zero onboarding. It was like, okay, you want to work with me? Like, okay, let me send this. And I was manually sending. There was no automated emails whatsoever. It was all like, I'd be like, crap, I forgot to send Jodi your questionnaire. Like,
Yeah.
and while it worked for the first little bit, and that was fine, I was like, I cannot keep up with this. I think if I had kept trying to piece together that system, it would have hurt the client experience. It would have taken up more of my time.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to skirt by on like what was cheapest instead of like, okay, I can automate this a little bit. It frees up some of my time. Then I can spend more time with clients, be able to log off a little bit early, like those kinds of
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
And so there is a point at which like you're going to have to, I feel like, bite the bullet and start investing a little bit.
Agree.
Yeah.
So
100%.
well, this has been super fun. Again, I know we could chat for like 4 hours about all the survey things.
Or anything else.
Yeah. But Ginny offered to share some kind of like reflection questions as our resident journaler, journal expert. I don't know what the title. But she runs the journal club as part of Supported CEO. So she offered to give some kind of like reflection questions for the listeners.
Yes, either journal them with paper or just something to think about. So the first question is, what surprised you the most or the least? The next question is, what's the number one takeaway you took from the survey as it pertains to the decisions you make in your business? And the last one is, what are you most curious to learn more about? Did something in the survey pique your interest? Did you find out something that you didn't even know was a thing? And you're like, ooh, that sounds interesting. So I love when business can be fun. So follow the curiosity seed and, pick something in the survey that piqued your interest and think about that.
Thank you for sharing those.
You're welcome.
And thank you both for doing this little official chat outside
Loved
of
it.
Voxer.
Happy to.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
And I hope y'all, the listeners, enjoyed this. And if you have questions, you can DM me on Instagram at The Ordinary Business, or you can find Ginny and Jodi on Instagram. I'll link all of our Instagrams in the show notes so you can connect with us. But thank y'all for being here.